You wake up with a plan. Today is the day. You're going to work out, skip the sugar, finish the project, go to bed early. By noon, none of it happened. You didn't even fight it. You just quietly gave up, and you're not sure when. Here's the strange part. Yesterday you had discipline. Today you don't. Nothing major changed. Same brain, same goals, same person. So why does willpower feel like it evaporates overnight? The answer isn't laziness. It isn't weak character. It's something far stranger. And once you see it, you'll never think about discipline the same way again. For decades, psychologists believed willpower worked like a muscle. Use it, and it gets tired. Rest it, and it recovers. This idea is called ego depletion, and it was popularized by psychologist Roy Baumeister in the 1990s. His experiments showed something odd. People who resisted a plate of fresh cookies performed worse on a difficult puzzle right after. Their self-control had run dry, like a battery. Every decision you made that day, from what to wear to what to eat, was quietly draining the same tank. But here's the twist. Later research complicated this picture. Some studies replicated the effect, others couldn't. And what emerged instead was more unsettling than a tired muscle. Willpower isn't just about energy, it's about belief. In 2010, researchers found that people who believed willpower was limited actually ran out of it faster. People who believed it was limitless didn't show the same decline. Think about that. Your discipline isn't just fuel in a tank. It's a story your brain is telling itself in real time. And some days, that story turns against you before you've even started. So what actually happens on the days discipline collapses? It usually isn't one big failure. It's a series of small, invisible defeats. You wake up already behind on sleep. Your blood sugar dips. You made 40 decisions before 9 a.m. that you don't even remember making. And by the time the real test arrives, the hard task, the temptation, the thing you promised yourself you'd do, your brain has already spent its reserves on things that felt harmless. This is why discipline never fails at the big moment. It fails long before it, in the quiet accumulation of tiny demands you didn't notice. Now here's where it gets even stranger. Discipline isn't just about resisting temptation in the moment. It's shaped by what you expect from yourself before you even try. Psychologist Walter Mischel spent decades studying this with children and marshmallows. In his famous experiments, kids were offered one marshmallow now, or two if they waited. The children who waited weren't just tougher. They used strategies. They looked away, they imagined the marshmallow as a picture instead of a real object. They distracted themselves on purpose. This detail matters more than the marshmallow itself. Discipline was never about gritting your teeth and staring down the temptation. It was about not putting yourself in the staring contest to begin with. Which means the version of you that fails at 9 p.m., scrolling instead of sleeping, eating instead of resting, isn't weak. That version of you was set up to fail hours earlier. The moment you left temptation in plain sight and told yourself you'd just power through it. Have you ever noticed how disciplined you feel in a hotel room? No junk food in the fridge because there is no fridge. No distractions because nothing is familiar. Suddenly you're productive, focused, calm. Nothing about your willpower changed. Your environment did. This is the part most people get backwards. They think discipline is a personality trait, something you either have or don't. But health psychologist Kelly McGonigal, who has spent years researching self-control, argues something different. Willpower is less like a fixed trait and more like a system, one shaped heavily by stress, sleep, and the design of your surroundings. Stress, in particular, hijacks the exact brain regions responsible for long-term thinking and pushes you toward whatever feels good right now. That's not a character flaw. That's biology doing exactly what it evolved to do. So why does discipline feel impossible some days and effortless on others? Because you're not fighting one battle, you're fighting three. You're fighting your stress levels, which shrink your ability to think ahead. You're fighting your environment, which quietly decides how many temptations you'll face today. And you're fighting your own beliefs about whether willpower is even something you have control over. None of these are solved by trying harder. Trying harder is what you do when you've misdiagnosed the problem. Think about the last time you actually succeeded at something difficult. It probably wasn't the day you had the most motivation. It was probably the day the choice was already made for you. The gym clothes were already laid out, the junk food wasn't in the house, the distracting app was deleted, not just muted. Discipline didn't have to show up because you never gave it a fair fight to lose. This reframes everything about how you should think about your own goals. The question isn't, how do I become someone with more willpower? The question is, how do I design a version of my day where willpower barely needs to be used at all? That's not a lesser version of discipline. That is discipline, just moved upstream into the decisions you make before the moment of temptation ever arrives. Consider what this means for tomorrow, not some future version of you with more motivation. Tomorrow, exactly as tired and distracted as you are right now. What would change if you stopped asking yourself to be stronger and started asking what you could remove, simplify, or prepare the night before? You don't need a bigger willpower tank. You need fewer moments where you're forced to spend from it. So the next time discipline disappears halfway through the day, don't assume something is wrong with you. Ask what you were fighting before you even noticed the fight had started. Ask what was sitting in plain sight, waiting to be resisted, when it could have simply not been there at all. You woke up today with a plan. By noon, it quietly slipped away, and you assumed it was you. It wasn't. It was the 100 invisible decisions that came before it, decisions you didn't even know you were making.